not long before I was working on this, said anger is one letter away from danger. And isn't that true? Steve Bob's here, so I'll mention a fond memory. An older mother in the Lord, a matriarch at a church where we both used to attend, Betty Speck. And when I returned to Eugene to do my own internship, kind of where you all are right now, and Alfred Poirier was kind enough to step down the entire summer and give me the pulpit. I think he just wanted to study and write himself. But anyway, I can remember Betty coming up to me afterwards and saying, perhaps this applies to some of you too, I don't know. But says, Brian, slow down, first of all. You talk way too fast. I was nervous. But then also, are you angry? He said, you exhort like you're angry. And I think I had this, if you will, I'm groping for words, this overinflated sense of the gravity of what I was doing. Obviously, this is serious when one mounts the pulpit and exhorts the people of God. But I think I had let that concern for not running roughshod over God's holiness to get too much inside my head, and the people were picking up that I was angry. And frankly, candidly, I've noticed that a lot about students early on. So I guess I was one of them, and maybe you fall prey to that or have fallen prey to that too. It's not just what we say up here, it's also how we say it, right? And how we communicate it. Jonah in this passage seems to have forgotten God's mercy to him early on. And I think, as one author says, a Jewish author, Simon, who wrote a great little commentary on this book, said, the Lord utterly repudiate his, that is Jonah's, basic premise that mercy must not be intermingled with justice. It is an error that cannot be eradicated from his heart by additional information, but only by personal experience that will open his eyes to a clearer perception of himself, other human beings, and his God. Close quote. You see, it struck me when I was working on this that God is the quintessential counselor. It's the job of professional counselors and pastors, to a certain degree. They must know their limits, too, and when they're not competent to counsel. But to reframe people's thinking and to create a context that helps people think differently about their suffering, differently about the questions that are driving them crazy, differently about the feelings they may be experiencing, to quote the poet, because the slings and darts of an outrageous fortune have slammed upon their head. And what I see here at the end is God dragging Jonah out to his own schoolhouse in order to instruct him and creating a different context and asking questions, telling him a parable so he might get out of his own mind a little bit in order to reframe his way of thinking. And the questions are really, in this section, the key to understanding, I think, the end of the book. There's only one other book in the Bible that ends in a question. It's another prophet. And then this book as well. But there's several questions that are asked here. You notice in verse 4, have you a right to be angry? And so God asks him this question, leaves it hanging in the air.